Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into this show today. Now today is Sunday, so you know what that means. We're going around the net with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. Now on the docket for today, we have a few good things. We have that Chase Sapphire DoorDash membership looking just a little bit better this week. We have Capital One hiking fees to their lounges, but don't worry, we at least know how they're spending the money. And we have, of course, an interesting new 5% card with a catch. It's from Upgrade, so we'll talk about that as well to close out the show. So of course, if any of that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, we will lead off with DoorDash and Max, which Max is a streaming service, which I'm pretty sure used to be HBO Max. Then someone had the good sense to cut out the one recognizable name from the service, but I'm pretty sure it's like a mashup of a few that they put under one roof, and they're just calling it Max. I can tell I don't do a lot of streaming. But anyhow, if you want to do some streaming and you have a DoorDash membership, well, that's going to help you out a lot because we'll put it on screen for you. We got this from Reuters here, but DoorDash is going to offer max streaming to members in the U.S. as it was, a way to combat these other streaming services and delivery services as well. So this was from Tuesday. They had, of course, said they had partnered with Warner Brothers, Discovery's Max to provide the streaming service at no extra cost to its membership program subscribers in the United States. So, of course, they go on to say a bunch of loving things about one another. But why you would care about that is because about a week or two ago, we had the story where DoorDash and Chase had continued their partnership. The partnership's not probably going anywhere because they have the co-branded card with Chase, but they had left the benefits intact from the Sapphires and the Freedoms. A few of those, the Sapphire line does give you DoorDash membership. That did get extended. So if you have one of those cards, you have DoorDash, well, ergo, you're going to have a Max subscription, which is a pretty cool added perk. And honestly, more people here will probably find use in that than trying to, finagle the delivery, pickup credits, whatever. This is actually something of, I can't really say tangible value, but it's actually something you could easily value if you are a streaming person, if you want to see this stuff. So this is actually a pretty good move, and it does, I wouldn't say it changes perception on the cards themselves, but on the overlying perk and partnership, I do think this goes a long way to help and that could again make you look at least favorable on it. I don't think this is going to make anyone necessarily keep the card outright. But of course, we'll have to see how the partnership goes there. But overall, that is pretty good. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know what shows you're watching on Max, I guess. What am I missing out on? When you're done watching this show, of course. We got a deep back catalog, though. You should be well entertained for a long time. But anyhow, keeping moving here. MX, back in the news again. You know how they love to expand the Centurion Lounge network. Well, guess what? Friends in Utah, Salt Lake City Airport, you are up next. So you are getting a Centurion Lounge. Now, not much is known yet. So just look at this B-roll we always show as I tell you what we do know. So again, Salt Lake City International Airport, we're looking at a 2025 opening date and about 1,600 square feet. Again, we don't really know much about it. Should be in Concourse B, which is scheduled for renovation. They've been doing it in phases. We do have a quote here. This again was given to TPG. So American Express has strong roots in Salt Lake City community. It's home to many of our colleagues and card members and a popular vacation destination for U.S. and global card members. New Centurion Lounge will give eligible card members a taste of what this beautiful destination has to offer and feature premium amenities of all types for all types of travelers. There you go. Can you imagine having to talk like that and actually say eligible in a sentence? I mean, I know I say it here in regards to the eligibility fees and closure on the second channel on the website, but that's just a weird way to talk. So anyhow, what I did not know is that American Express, I believe their banking headquarters, that they are a bank as well. They do have some banking promotions on occasion, both business and personal checking and savings, is actually headquartered out there. So that leads me to believe this could end up being a pretty sick lounge. I mean, if it's on your home court, right? You have a lot of executives coming through there, which I assume how most corporate things go. If you're an executive, you probably have to have an Amex card. It's not required. It's just a good look. It's like if you worked at Apple, you wouldn't wear a real watch, you'd wear an Apple watch. That's probably best, for your career, right? Just to be seen doing that. So I can imagine this lounge ending up being pretty sick. Again, we don't know anything. We'll have to look, so 2025, so about a year, give or take. So, insert your jokes there about guest passes and getting all your wives in. I guess that's probably the most concern there for the overcrowding, but hey, we'll see. So, if you don't like Amex lounges and you thought Amex lounges were too pricey, well, Capital One said, well, watch this. Because Capital One is now raising their price for non-card holders to get into the lounge. Remember, Capital One's still one of the few lounges that you can still buy day passes to. We went out there when it first opened to the one in DFW to take a look at it, and I just had bought a guest pass. So Capital One raising the price of their lounges, or again for non-card holders. So it was $65. Now it's going up to $90. A little bit of a price hike there. Here's a quote again they gave TPG. We know that getting into a Capital One lounge is top of mind for our customers. A Capital spokesperson again told TPG, and we are making this change to ensure guests have the best-in-class experience in our Capital One lounges every time they visit. That statement made no sense whatsoever. Not even sure why they bother saying anything sometimes. So if we translate, what they're really saying is like, hey, the people who are paying us, $400 a year, and they have some passes on the venture cards, they're tired of you people coming in and eating all the food and being in the way, even though Capital One is still making money. They don't want to stop that altogether. That's really who they're looking out for. And the benefit of, going last or not last, because Chase, I don't remember who went first, as Capital One or Chase started building out their own lounge network, but anyhow, the benefit of being last is that you get to see how everyone's done it already, and, you can avoid some of the pitfalls. So Capital One, obviously, they're smart enough. Sky Club's overcrowding, Priority Passes overcrowding, Centurion's overcrowding, all of that overcrowdingness. So, yes, they're probably trying to get ahead of it. Why didn't they just say no guest passes outright altogether? Because I don't think the Venture X business and the Venture card that has passes, or they didn't get rid of the passes, actually. I think they did. So the Venture X line doesn't probably have enough card holders out there yet at scale that every one of their lounges is going to be at max capacity all the time. So I think you raise the price a little bit to start deterring people. Maybe you convince some people to go buy your credit card. Obviously, that would be a good thing. Great, then you've made a conversion. If they still want to come, well, they're paying a little bit more money, but you're going to either convert people to buy the card, you're going to convert people away from it altogether, which is fine, or you're going to have people who are just, expensing it and it doesn't really matter. So they'll still pay, or they just simply don't care. So I think we can see the progression of that. Eventually in another year or two, if they keep going at this rate, then yeah, they probably will cut off guest passes altogether to try to avoid that. The Venture is still good. Venture X still a really good card. We'll see. We also still think like a nerfing is coming of sorts eventually. So we'll see. But at least that's what I think they're doing right now. So I wouldn't say it's ridiculous. I think they're just trying to get ahead of it. And honestly, it probably goes down smoother getting ahead of it like this and easing into it than how Delta and Amex have done it, where it's like, hey, all of a sudden you got to spend $75,000 to keep your guest passes, but there's no reason to spend $75,000 on this card, or we're going to cap Sky Club. That hurts a lot more because it was just all the one from Unlimited to all of a sudden this. Gradually going with it, I don't know if it's still the same end result, but I guess it makes you feel better maybe, like the rug wasn't just pulled out immediately. I don't know, just kind of an interpretation there. So what are they doing with this extra money, you might ask? Well, they are putting it all into card art because we have a new Quicksilver card design. Put it up there for you. I don't hate it. I don't actually have a really strong opinion about it. If nothing else, it looks less silver than the Quicksilver the old one did. The logo sure has some silver in it, which I can appreciate. It does the design, the matte kind of design with the, gradient, does kind of match some of their other cards, like the Sparks, the Miles card, and then the Venture X's. So I think they're probably just trying to fit them into, the same aesthetic, probably the same as American Express was doing when we talked about it the other week with them rebranding, redoing the design for the everyday cars. So that's my guess, which means the Saver will probably get a new design eventually, because the Quicksilver and the Saver still looked the same, just different colorways. So I imagine that the Saver will probably get a different design, probably still keep that same color, just be more of the gradient deal. Not a big deal. Do I think they're going to do anything to the card other than that? No, they don't really have to, because Capital One is still really well known, and if someone's going to ask me for their first card as a student, a young person, a recovering person, I'm still probably going to say Capital One, either the Saver or the Quicksilver, whichever one you prefer. And I think they know that, so I don't really think they have to come up to 2% at all. Should they? Yes. Do I think they have to? No. And I don't think they will. I think this is really just a card redesign, right? So there you go. That's what they're spending the money on. Now, someone who didn't redesign but made a brand new card that a few folks have sent me, and granted it does look interesting, is Upgrade. We don't talk about them much here. You'll probably know them from the second channel on the website. Again, run on the bank and profitable.content.com, because Upgrade does have some really good deposit account offers, and one of the best referral programs I've seen, actually, where your cap for referrals actually resets each campaign, not just per year, which is no one else does that. It's amazing. And their products overall actually aren't that bad on the deposit side. They get a bad rap because of their credit cards. We've done a video on their credit cards, and their credit cards aren't really credit cards. They're more so like a line of credit in your pocket. Technically, I have one because one of the original deposit account offers they did was to get a line of credit card and then a checking account for like $400. That was like a few years ago. So technically, I do have one. I've never used it. So anyhow, their cards work as a line of credit, which means you use them, and then like there's that grace period you have with a credit card. It's like it's a line of credit, so it starts accruing interest immediately. So they have a new card though, so that's the setup for this. Here's the new card. It's a 5% card, so I'm interested. There's always a catch. So my 5 cash rewards card. So again, no annual fee from what it looks like. And then of course they have 5x and up to $3,000 quarterly in a category of your choice. And you can change the category each month, which is very helpful. So I mean, overall, you're looking at groceries, TV, internet, streaming, dining, gas, EV charging, travel, cell phone providers, pet care stores, home utilities, and of course, one back on everything else. Those are pretty good categories. I have most of them covered, but you don't see a lot of pets. I mean, pets could be big for somebody. Travel, I could potentially use it as a travel. I don't have a dedicated travel card. But overall, those are pretty good categories. Now, I was reading some folks who were talking about this in comments and stuff, and apparently there's a feature they have where, like, if you pay the bill in full within the first 2 days, so instead of that 3-week period you get with a normal credit card to pay, if you pay it within 2 days, then you can avoid interest altogether. And that kind of does make it tempting, but I think I would try it for that, because you could be on top of it. You could set auto payments up. You could, whatever. Just cards like this, when you have a lot of them, like me, generally I know what I'm going to use it for, and I use it, and I could just pay it off a few days later, whatever. So I do think that part is actually fairly manageable. But there's no intro offer that I saw, so I can't do it. The rule of the channels are you should always be paid to open a banking product. So for that reason, if you could actually pay it off in 2 days, which is fine, so long as I'd probably initiate it on the Upgrade side. That way they know the money's coming. I think that's good. It's tempting because I like 5% cards, but with no intro offer combined on Upgrade being Upgrade, like just for their line of credit deal, kind of annoying. I am surprised at this point they haven't broken it out into being an option, right? If you can choose the line of credit or you can just choose a regular credit card. I think they've been around long enough to start offering optionality in their products. I know they think that's their niche, but I do think it's kind of limiting them at this point. Like, they're at the point now, like, some of their cards aren't terrible with the multipliers they offer, like this one, for example. It's just that line of credit is actually deterring people. But again, you could make the counter argument that it's only deterring people like us who would take this to the extreme, right? So maybe they are deterring the right people after all, and their business strategy is sound. I don't know. Card was tempting, so I thought I'd put it in the roundup. So let me know what you think about it. Would you try? Do you use an Upgrade card? Again, their deposit accounts, their savings accounts, not too bad, actually. I think it's the weirdness of their line of credit products kind of bring them down on the deposit side. We tend to group the whole thing together. But anyhow, not too bad. We always like to see more 5% cards out there. So anyways, guys, that's been the news. So of course, if you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel. We're posting content just like this every single week. And of course, right back here every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. And as we said, every single day over on ProfitableContent.com. That is the channel's blog. Always linked down below for you and on the the home page, we have news stories just like this. We have bank promotions from Upgrade, from American Express, from Capital One sometimes. There's everyone we talked about. You get credit cards, go get their bank offers too. And of course, we have credit cards. Not from Upgrade, but we do have American Express and Capital One, some option. Yes, Capital One as well. So check those out as well if you want a brand new Discover or brand new Quicksilver card, I guess. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one.